We have Patrick McMahon and Lisa Dockman. Patrick is an Alberta-based program manager with Summerhill Group, a leading implementation partner working with governments and utility partners across Canada to deliver consumer-centric energy efficiency programming. Patrick has experience as an NRCan registered energy advisor, recently managed Energy Efficiency Alberta's Home Energy Plan and Home Improvement Rebate programs, and is a competitive cross-country soaring pilot and flight instructor. Very cool. Lisa is an energy transition project manager within the Energy Transition Unit at the City of Edmonton. Her work focuses on the planning and implementation of initiatives that mitigate energy use and greenhouse gas emissions associated with Edmonton's residential sector. Some of the programs she has developed include Edmonton's Home Energy Retrofit Accelerator, Corporate Climate Leadership Program, and Building Energy Benchmarking Program, and more. Lisa is an University of Alberta alumnus of both the Faculty of Science and Faculty of Education, in addition to being a lead Green Associate and a certified professional facilitator with the International Association of Facilitators. Previously, she worked at the University of Alberta's Office of Sustainability, delivering a suite of educational programs and capacity building initiatives for students, faculty, and staff. She has over 10 years experience planning, implementing, and evaluating sustainability-focused strategic planning and change management campaigns. Lisa is passionate about collaborative program planning, facilitating engagement in sustainability initiatives, and equipping people with the capacity to accomplish sustainable change. And with that, I'd like to welcome Patrick and Lisa to present.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Daniel, and for having us today. And happy Thursday, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this session. So Patrick will do most of our presenting this afternoon, but I did think I'd kick us off with a little bit of context setting. So next slide, please. Could you go to the next slide, Patrick? Thank you. So we are here to talk specifically about a new and exciting program, Edmonton's Home Energy Retrofit Accelerator. You'll hear us refer to it as HERA, but it's a new program that we're going to dive into the details of. But before we do that, I wanted to share that this program is part of a suite of programs that have been, that are working to implement the Community Energy Transition Strategy, which you may have heard of before. But it's a strategy that was approved unanimously by City Council in 2015. And essentially, it's a roadmap of how Edmonton will get to a future low-carbon, sustainable energy city and really take advantage of the opportunities that exist as our world transitions to a greener economy. So there are three major targets within the Community Energy Transition Strategy. You'll see them here: a greenhouse gas emissions reductions target, an energy efficiency target, and a local energy generation through primarily solar electricity target. So these are from 2015, and we have a number of programs in market. I encourage you to check out. We have commercial programs, transportation programs, engagement programs as well through our Change for Climate initiatives. But specifically, we're here to talk about HERA within the residential suite of programs. So back one slide, please, Patrick. So that is from 2015, and as some of you may know, we're currently updating the energy transition strategy to be more ambitious and to be consistent with the 1.5 degree target in the Paris Agreement. So when Council declared a climate emergency in 2019, they asked us as administration to bring back to them a new strategy that was consistent with this recommendation from the Paris Agreement. which, as you may know, is a result of the kind of consensus among scientists through the IPCC that in order to avoid the most catastrophic parts of climate change, we really need to stay within a global average temperature increase of 1.5 degrees Celsius. And so right now, our colleagues are preparing to bring that updated report to Executive Committee of Council on April 12th. Do really encourage you to take a peek for that report when it goes public on March 25th is the target. And then do feel free to register. Anybody can speak at our City Council meetings on August 12th. So please go 2 slides forward. Thank you. All that being said, in this interim period before that new strategy is reviewed and considered by council, we still do have a great direction around this work from our city plan. So our city plan is the strategic plan for Edmonton as a whole, and it really describes the vision and how we will change and develop to become a city of eventually, 2 million people. So it articulates that plan through 5 big city moves, and one of them is greener as we grow. And that one has these 3 targets you'll see here. So 2 million new urban trees as a target, the major target through this city plan, but also this total community-wide carbon budget of 135 megatons and a net per person greenhouse gas emissions of 0. So as you can see, very ambitious targets that are aligned with and compatible with that Paris Agreement. And, we'll see more detail to flesh that out in the new energy transition strategy. Next one, please. So just before Patrick takes off here, I did want to share what HERA is and why we, our purpose with the program. So it's a residential energy efficiency incentive program designed to facilitate home renovations that reduce carbon emissions, save energy, and support local renovation businesses. So really, it's an attempt to stimulate our local economy because, as you all know, renovations and this entire industry is very intensely local. So there's a lot of benefit to the increased infrastructure, a lot of economic value to this work taking place here, and it's really a great stimulus activity, considering the impacts that COVID and others, like, for example, oil prices has had on our economy. And then also importantly, I think a lot of renovation activity does take place, and this program is trying to encourage energy efficiency being one of the major considerations in that activity. And then my last slide, please. And then just a bit more broadly, the reason why we host this program is trying to make energy efficiency more accessible to a larger number of Edmontonians by reducing the costs of the equipment and services related to this work, to maximize the greenhouse gas emissions through renovations by encouraging those more significant retrofits, but also the choosing of a higher efficiency product when renovations are taking place. To advance that retrofit economy in Edmonton, already a lot of activity there, but really to stimulate and trigger that local economic activity and support industry capacity in this regard. And then lastly, to stimulate a market transformation where we can properly value energy efficient homes. And, one of the reasons why it's not, there's not valued properly right now is there's not really a lot of accessible, easily understood information on household energy efficiency. And the EnterGuide label is really a tool to help make accessible energy performance information available at a household level. And the next slide, please. And so that EnterGuide label, which Patrick will get into, is a really foundational part of our residential programs. So we've been inviting Edmonton homeowners to share their EnterGuide labels with us since 2017 on this online platform. So it's a screenshot of it. And you'll see what it's doing is speaking to the energy performance of a home through that EnterGuide label, and then sharing it in this public platform so we can start to have access to that information and start to really value the energy efficiency of homes in Edmonton. So very excited that there's almost 5,000 homes that have EnterGuide labels on this map, and looking forward to continuing to grow this energy labeling activity that's really proven to be a very effective tool within a municipality to achieve the kinds of carbon and energy efficiency goals we have. Okay, I'll pass it over to Patrick.
Thanks so much, Lisa, and thanks to Solar Alberta for the opportunity to share HERA with this audience. So as Lisa mentioned, HERA is an energy efficiency program, and it actually serves both new home builders and owners of existing homes. New home builders that participate are required to share their EnterGuide rated homes, or new construction homes that receive EnterGuide labels on the map, and they're provided a small rebate for doing that, but supporting the transparency and making energy efficiency visible on the home energy map, as Lisa had mentioned. We're going to spend most of our time today speaking about the opportunity for owners of existing homes. And it's important to highlight that the program does require, as Lisa mentions, built on EnterGuide. It requires a version 15 EnterGuide evaluation to participate, which have been generally available and the common evaluation type in Alberta since about 2017. Those with past version 15 EnterGuide labels are eligible to participate, while those that might have participated in programs maybe around the 2010 or so would not be eligible to participate. We want to highlight that generally speaking, program participation requires an energy evaluation to take place before upgrades take place, but we do recognize and we don't want to miss the opportunity that's created when a homeowner may have a system failure, a heating or a water heating appliance failure, and can't get an energy evaluation before the need to replace their heating system. So we do have a process for homeowners that do experience system failure to participate and have their energy evaluation up to 30 days afterward. Some photographic documentation and other documentation is required. If this is applicable to you, or it might be applicable to your customers, if we have any HVAC contractors on the call today, please review the frequently asked questions on this topic and ask for any clarity because the energy advisor will have an expectation on documentation that's available. The scope of the program generally is based on participation in the EnterGuide rating system, and homes that are captured by the EnterGuide rating system in the existing home sector are detached homes, semi-detached homes, row homes or townhomes, and mobile homes on permanent foundations intended for year-round occupancy. And participation in the program will require the homeowner to accept the program terms and conditions, and that will include an obligation to have their EnterGuide label added to the home energy map that Lisa had just shown on the last slide. As I mentioned, and as Lisa mentioned, the HERA program is based on the EnterGuide for Homes platform, and this mark is maintained by Natural Resources Canada, which of course is a department of the Government of Canada. Many people are likely familiar with the EnterGuide rating system. EnterGuide stickers appear on clothes washing machines, water heating appliances, even cars, to help Canadians more aware of the energy implications of their purchases. The EnterGuide rating system for homes initiative is delivered in practice by companies that hold a license with Natural Resources Canada, and they're known as service organizations. And actually, Natural Resources Canada maintains a list to identify the service organizations that service any individual specific postal code. So you can find a service organization, and you'll see Natural Resources Canada's tool to identify the companies that can help you find that service. The individual that carries out the EnterGuide evaluation is known as an energy advisor, and they're an individual that are trained on energy efficient residential construction, building science, and the EnterGuide rating systems, tools, and expectations. An EnterGuide evaluation will consider the home as a system, as they say, which has many attributes, some of which are interrelated to other aspects of home performance. Considerations will include where the home is located, so different energy profile for a home in Vancouver than one in Edmonton. As an example, the orientation to consider solar gains, number of stories, and the footprint or house geometry. The energy advisor will evaluate the shell of the home, so that's insulation. They'll do a blower door test to quantify the draftiness of the structure, and they'll pay particular note to the balance of ventilation in an effort to ensure that occupants maintain safe indoor air quality. Through the EnterGuide system, home occupancy is standardized actually for what are known as the standard operating conditions. That's in order to have a better opportunity to compare house for house. So the specific occupancy of your home would not be considered, whereas the EnterGuide evaluation looks at those standard operating conditions, including occupancy. The evaluation process can take a number of hours on site for on-site data collection before the energy advisor takes these observations and inputs them into the HOT 2000 residential energy modeling software, which is again maintained by Natural Resources Canada. Typically through an energy evaluation, the advisor will start with an introduction and then an assessment of the outside of the home, including the geometry of the home, window counts, exterior finish, if there's an air conditioner or heat pump. Once the energy advisor moves to the inside of the home, they'll profile the individual window specifically, document various mechanical systems, probably in the basement, and continue to make efforts to assess the volume of insulation in various components of the home, including a peek into the attic. The energy evaluation famously includes a blower door test where a door seal and fan is installed into a door frame and air is sucked out of the home, drawn in through the numerous tiny or not so tiny holes in the building shell, ultimately quantifying the degree to which the home is drafty or might be in need of additional sources of mechanical ventilation for homes that are not drafty enough. For homes that require additional ventilation, a recommendation would be made for the most energy efficient way to provide that ventilation, which is a heat recovery ventilator. The energy advisor typically takes time or is required to take time during the blower door test to identify areas of air infiltration and should suggest strategies to remediate drafts when appropriate. If there's on-site generation, it will be documented and modeled. And the energy advisor will make an effort to share a summary of suggestions through an education component toward the end of the evaluation, probably while they're collecting some documents that need to be signed specifically for the federal government. Through the consultation, the homeowner should advise the energy advisor if the homeowner should advise the energy advisor if they have any specific renovation plans, any interest in on-site solar, or would like some direction into achieving an EnterGuide score of 0. As I mentioned, the energy advisor will ultimately take this information and input it into their energy modeling software, including the recommendations for opportunities to improve the energy efficiency of the home. And there are a few key outputs from the EnterGuide evaluation, most prominently of which is the EnterGuide label, which you can see on the right-hand side of this slide. The key data point is related to the energy consumption measured in gigajoules of total net energy use. Additionally, there's a comparative rating for the reference home, which is your home if the energy standards of today's building code requirements were implemented on the home as it stands. You'll also see an EnterGuide score of 0, indicating the goal state for a home that produces as much energy as it consumes. Additional data points will include an estimated split of consumption by fuel type and generation by any on-site resources. And the graph to the middle right shows how energy is consumed in the home between space heating, water heating, lights, ventilation, and other electronics. There's a couple interesting data points as well below the pie graph, which include the energy intensity of the home, which is actually a pretty interesting way to compare house to house, as well as the modeled carbon footprint of the home based on the standard operating conditions. The homeowner will receive some additional reports, including the homeowner information sheet, which is effectively a balance sheet of energy assets in the home, providing specific information about various energy systems, including walls, the ceiling, mechanical systems, windows, etc. The renovation upgrade report will also be provided to share the path forward based on the recommendations of the energy advisor or any direction the homeowner might have provided during the energy evaluation. And this will identify the potential EnterGuide rating if all the recommendations were adopted. This presentation is HERA for professionals. So let's introduce the first group of professionals, which is the energy advisor. Energy advisors are trained and licensed individuals who perform the EnterGuide rating system and submit to a robust quality assurance program, who must maintain this license in line with expectations defined by Natural Resources Canada. Within HERA, after a homeowner enrolls in the program, the energy advisor will need to provide some simple data points to support the complete registration of the homeowner in the program. We expect good participation of homeowners in HERA, and that will create good work for energy advisors in the Edmonton market. Looking ahead, as we look back, in the November 2020 speech from the throne, the Canadian federal government indicated that they intend to fund a 5-year, $2.6 billion home retrofit grant program, providing 1 million EnterGuide evaluations to Canadians. Individuals interested in becoming an energy advisor would need to have an understanding of residential construction best practices, general building science, energy efficient renovation tactics, and basic technical competency. And those that are interested might reach out to service organizations listed by NRCan that may be hiring qualified individuals now or in the near future. Getting into the program specifically, the HERA Opportunity, this is a basic summary of the kind of categories of rebates that are being offered through the program. In categorization, the website for the program has a lot more information, and specifically the program user guide, which includes a list of all of the eligible measures for rebate, but it includes a variety of EnterGuide evaluations, insulation measures, windows, air sealing measures, which would require a follow-up EnterGuide evaluation. Water heating appliances and drain water heat recovery systems are eligible for rebate, as well as a number of space heating measures, including air and ground source heat pumps as solutions that can get a homeowner to a home that's powered without the use of fossil fuels. It's really important to refer to the program user guide for general eligibility and specific eligibility criteria. I can't stress that enough to make sure that expectations are sound. This is important for contractors and important for homeowners. Beyond rebates for individual measures, the program also features a bonus rebate to encourage homeowners to do more projects. So upgrade rebate dollars are increased by 20% for all the third and beyond measure that's completed. And there's a $10,000 rebate for a home that achieves an ending EnterGuide score of 0. The next critical professional for us to consider in our HERA for Professionals presentation here is the role of the contractor. There's many eligible products that require the use of a contractor, and we'll summarize and highlight some of those on the next slide. But we would definitely want to encourage, to Lisa's point, contractors to embrace the HERA program, to build their business, to learn more about energy efficiency, embrace the value of energy efficiency, and positioning the value of the products and services that they sell. We would encourage homeowners to learn about the eligibility criteria for your product or category so that you're setting expectations that don't leave a negative customer experience in your mind, where products have eligibility thresholds on efficiency, for instance, with water heating appliances. It's important for you to review the document expectations your customers will need for successful applications, and if possible, provide that proactively as a part of your customer service. For instance, attic insulation requires photos of within the attic. If you're an attic insulator and you provide that service and then leave your customers to have to crawl up into the attic and have a whole bunch of insulation fall on their head to take the picture that's required for this successful application, we've certainly missed an opportunity to deliver exceptional customer experience. And we'd encourage you to know what they'll need at the end and maybe provide that through the delivery of your service. We'd encourage you to enhance your language relating to the climate and energy benefits of the products and services you offer, which is a goal of the program, and to understand where your products fit within a path to zero plan. And we'll talk a little bit more about the steps toward that path to zero. I don't think we can be need to be bashful in this, but with the bonus rebate, more upgrades equals larger sales and equals deeper retrofits. So a mechanical contractor looking into the mechanical room may see opportunities to sell multiple products where they had previously serviced a single product or a single SKU. And that can be good for the homeowner, that can be good for the business, and it can be good for the climate in the context of reducing the emissions profile of the home. There's a lot of information on this slide, my apologies, but some things to highlight in the context of the contractor being aware of their opportunities to participate in the program. You'll see that almost all measures require pictures, either of the work completed in the context of windows and insulation, or the specific product and placards for serialized units. So consider that as you deliver the program or as you interact with your customers. There are a number of measures that can be done do it yourself, but there are also a large number of measures that do require a contractor to engage with. Again, general eligibility and specific eligibility is all in the program user guide, so please do refer to that document. I'd like to spend some time talking about the path to net zero, and HERA makes a deliberate attempt to encourage Edmontonians to think about and plan toward a net zero home, which is identified by an EnterGuide score of 0. This isn't a home that consumes no energy, but a home that produces at least as much energy as it consumes. And for success in this pursuit, a rebate of $10,000 is available. It's the expectation that Edmonton homeowners will be asking about this path to zero. So their energy advisors and their contractors, we hope and expect, will need to learn how to cater to these questions and understand the opportunity and have answers to those questions. We know this won't be an overnight evolution, but the direction needs to be clear. We collectively need to be thinking about the buildings we have and the energy they use. So every home is different, and there's no shortage of competing priorities for a homeowner, but the path shared on the screen might inform a generally accepted approach to evaluating the path to a net zero home. We share a basic stepwise approach to creating a plan towards zero, and it can be found in the program user guide on page 6. This graphic hides the practical reality that this information provides direction and a general order. For instance, step 1, make it tight. Eliminating unnecessary energy waste from throughout the building envelope is a worthwhile task in and of itself, but it also needs to be considered in step 2 and 3. In step 2, insulate right, increasing the volume of energy, decreasing the volume of energy lost through the envelope of the home from ceilings, walls, foundation, windows, even the foundation slab if possible, needs to consider air tightness, which is step 1, make it tight. And this work can often have a material impact on the volume of energy lost through drafts. Yes, I said windows as a part of insulate right. As a part of the building envelope, efficient windows are measured by their thermal resistance. No one is surprised that a window is more conductive than a well-insulated wall, but efficient windows in and of themselves reduce energy loss through conduction, and when installed correctly, reduce drafts. Depending on how effective you have been at improving the air tightness of the home, considering energy efficient ventilation should definitely be on your radar by this point. Homes lose energy and mechanical systems replace the energy. If the home has been effectively enhanced through improved air sealing and reduced conduction losses, which is insulation, replacing a heating system like for like as far as capacity goes will often be oversized and less efficient than designed. A heat loss analysis of the more efficient home should be completed, and with any luck, the heating load could be substantially reduced to make electric heating technologies viable, things like air or ground source heat pumps. Most homes don't have a sufficient electrical service to support an air source heat pump installation as a first step. The heating loads needs to be reduced substantially for this to be viable. When you're dealing with mechanical systems, keep air sealing in mind and ensure that penetrations are well sealed and eliminate appliances with chimneys when practical. If you're effective in incorporating air tightening into previous activity, the home is likely to require mechanical ventilation to ensure occupants have safe, fresh air to breathe, and this is facilitated with a heat recovery ventilator. It's that easy. Now your home loses so much less energy that you've been able to replace your heating system with a much smaller unit, ideally using electricity as the fuel, but your EnterGuide score still isn't 0. Don't worry, the last step in the path to net zero is to make up the difference. With a bit more luck, your roof is sufficiently large and bathed in enough sun that the balance of the energy required to keep you comfortable can be provided by on-site solar generation. And since your energy advisor can add that to their model of your home, it can be confirmed that the house has satisfied the EnterGuide Zero rating to satisfy this category and achieve this net zero. For those that are interested and are working toward net zero, it's worth us highlighting proactively, because this does take some planning, how the net zero rebate will be evaluated. So the rebate is $10,000, the lower of $10,000, or 40% of net eligible expenses excluding GST. And some important considerations to highlight is that expenses associated with the materials, professional services, and installation are all eligible. It takes place from between the energy evaluation and the initial energy evaluation, which may predate the program participation, and the final energy evaluation, which provides the zero rating. So if you had an energy evaluation in the past few years and did some work, keep those receipts because they can be considered in this context. The rebate is stackable with other programs, which includes Edmonton's solar rebate program, which is important for that step 4, and in addition to the HERA specific rebates. So we will ask for some disclosure for the net eligible expenses, but there are stackable incentives. And applications can be submitted any time, regardless of when the upgrades took place, as long as they took place between the pre-EnterGuide evaluation, the pre-retrofit, and the post-retrofit EnterGuide evaluation. Just to try to wrap our heads around the 40% or $10,000 consideration, again, emphasis on reviewing the program user guide and the eligible products and services list, which is within that document, and requesting the net zero worksheet, which is just a helpful tool to track the projects that have taken place, the costs, and associated rebates as applicable. But we see on the screen an example home retrofit that cost around $75,000. With the rebates that came from HERA for that, there was $11,500. The net eligible expense from the retrofit, $63,500. On-site generation has a cost and a stackable rebate in Edmonton, which leaves $16,000. So the balance of the eligible expenses, $79,500. If we multiply that by 40%, we get a number far greater than $10,000. So for this home, they would be eligible for the $10,000 renovating to net zero rebate. I'll wind things up with a general look at the HERA participant journey, and then I'll pass it back to Lisa to wrap things up. For program participation, the homeowner requires a version 15 existing home EnterGuide evaluation, and this can be since the program launch date on January 13th, 2021, or before. With this evaluation, the homeowner will enroll in the program, and for new evaluations, their energy advisor will be required to provide some basic data points to complete their registration and enable their rebates. Then the homeowner, having reviewed the program user guide, will commence their retrofit journey, hopefully with a consideration of the path to zero. Participants are welcome to apply for rebates as they complete projects. As soon as 3 rebates are approved, the bonus will be issued for past upgrades, and bonuses will continue for any future upgrades. A post-retrofit EnterGuide evaluation is required to evaluate air tightness, upgrades between the and the zero EnterGuide score. So if either of those are applicable to the homeowner or sought after, the post-retrofit EnterGuide evaluation will be required in those situations. And it is eligible for a rebate from the City of Edmonton or the Government of Canada, and would be updated on the home energy map if it had taken place within the context of the HERA program. Participants will have 18 months from their enrollment to complete program eligible upgrades. That's steps 1 through 3 on the renovating to zero path discussed a minute ago. If sufficient solar array is installed after that, an application for the net zero rebate can be submitted as long as the program is available. If a second post-retrofit EnterGuide evaluation is required to confirm the zero score, that one will not be eligible for a rebate, at least from the City of Edmonton. With the exception of the EnterGuide evaluation, projects are not eligible to receive rebates that exceed 50% of their eligible cost, excluding GST, but considering other eligible grants or rebates. The net zero rebate is limited to 40% of eligible expenses, excluding GST, that encompasses upgrade costs, solar expenses, against all rebates or grants that have been received for the same, and the same is true for solar. So that all needs to be considered in identifying the net eligible expenses for consideration. On that point, just passing it over to Lisa, and we'll just jump right into Edmonton Solar Program.
Thank you, Patrick. So we just briefly wanted to do a plug for our residential solar rebate program. Next slide, please. So under our Change Homes for Climate suite of programs, this is a rebate program for rooftop solar photovoltaic panels that is rebated at 40 cents per watt of installed capacity, which is typically about 15% of the total system costs, to a maximum of $44,000 or 40%, whichever maximum it hits first. New homes are welcome to this rebate as well, but it's a maximum of 5 new homes per home builder per year. There's a 2-part application, so really important to do a pre-application, and then that money is actually reserved for that project should it be completed as expected. And then the post-installation is when the rest of the documentation is given and the rebate is issued. Primarily, so single-family homes, either on their rooftop or their garage rooftop, but also other residential buildings are welcome to participate as well. We do expect, details in the terms and conditions, but something to point out is that it does need to be an approved solar contractor on either the Solar Alberta or CanREA list of contractors. And again, full details online. Next slide, please. We do recommend that homeowners interested in solar do seek out a contractor to get a solar assessment of the potential of their home. But if you're just interested in seeing kind of right off the bat what your solar potential might be, we'd encourage you to check out the MyHeat solar platform. So the City of Edmonton has partnered with MyHeat because MyHeat has access to the great wealth of data and that's available through Google Earth, through their Google Maps platform, and has actually used that data to develop these city-wide solar assessments. So if you enter your address into this tool here, you'll actually see like a sort of a rough estimate of your solar potential. So the area on your rooftop, even if you enter in your electricity bill, price of your electricity bill, your kind of return on investment you might be able to anticipate, and a couple other really neat impacts of going solar. So one note is it doesn't include most garages. So there is a little, calculator for garages as well in there. But you'll see this home here, my home is and its potential on this example. Next slide, please. There's also lots of resources on the Change for Climate website. So Change Homes for Climate and Change Habits for Climate guides. And then also a really interesting element is this idea of a climate resilient home. So in what ways can homes be renovated to be more resilient to a changing climate, because we already know the impacts of climate change are real and existing today. And even if we stopped entirely our greenhouse gas emissions, there would be substantial impacts. So this is a really great resource for understanding a resilient home as well. Next slide. And then one last shout out, if you're interested in attending some more free online webinars, we have a series that's starting up shortly here. It cross-references some of the great Solar Alberta programs that Daniel mentioned, but please feel free to register. They're available today, the registration, at changeforclimate.ca/lunchbox series. Next slide. And then, as I'm sure Patrick and I have mentioned, but please, we're happy to answer questions here. But any questions you have that we may not be able to answer, please feel free to ask our exhibitor booth within the feed loop tool, or you can contact the home retrofit at edmonton.ca and this phone number, which are dedicated customer service portals for people interested in HERA. So thank you very much.
Hey, so we're going to ask a few questions that we've received from the audience now. I think probably the one that most people are interested in is, how quickly do you expect this program to be fully subscribed?
I can answer that one. So rebates for HERA are being dispersed on a first come, first served basis. So we do encourage homeowners to enroll in the program with their EnterGuide labels as soon as possible, and then to apply for their rebates for upgrades as soon as the work is completed. But with how applications are coming along, we do expect us to be able to keep it in market for a good while here. So, we unfortunately can't predict how fast or kind of the rate at which that budgeted money will be dispersed, but we will be posting updates to try and keep interested homeowners with as much information as possible on the program website as well. So do keep your eyes out for that.
So should we expect a thermometer on the website that will show the percentage of which money is still available for the rebate, or?
Not so much a thermometer. There'll be sort of a statement of the kind of the activity and trying to give people as much information as we can.
Okay, great. And there's also a question about the Clean Energy Improvement Program. Is there any chance that these two programs would coexist at the same time?
Yes, they will. And for those that may not be familiar, CEIP is a financing tool where we are piloting a clean energy improvement program here in Edmonton that's being actually operated by an agency called the AMSC, the Alberta Municipalities Association, I think. It used to be the MCCAC, but it's a complex. Like they're the same, just connected organizations. But yeah, so CEIP and HERA will be stackable, and we are being conscious of how the two will work together, because you can get, your financing through CEIP, and then that financing would be due by any rebates you're eligible for through HERA, which is a really great synergy between the two. However, as you may know, CEIP is not in market yet. We do expect the bylaw to go to council for a decision in the coming weeks, but even then it will take a little while for the program to be live and accepting applicants. And also it is a pilot program. So while we do encourage people to take advantage of both of them, they should know that there's not going to be a lot of homes in HERA, in CEIP, given that it's a pilot program. And so we do kind of just want people to have that information, that not to kind of expect that they will, automatically be able to be eligible for CEIP, as there are so few spaces.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, and excited for Edmonton to testing out CEIP.
Alberta Municipal Services Corporation, AMSC, that's the name of it. MCCA is a partnership related to it. So
we've got another question here about how would someone go about finding an excellent contractor or service provider to do their HERA supported work?
Patrick, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So the program is kind of contractor agnostic and would encourage best consumer protection best practices. So Service Alberta has really great guides on strategies and things to ask of contractors to ensure that that they are protected and that the contractors that they're hiring are adequately insured and those sorts of things. So multiple quotes definitely helps, is a good strategy. And then those guides that Service Alberta provides to help homeowners assist in identifying good contractors and making sure that vetting process is done professionally would be probably our best advice. It will be interesting to see how the market transforms if this is especially around incorporating the path to zero and looking for contractors that are speaking that language and are aware of the program opportunities. I don't know, Lisa, if you have anything to add there.
Someone's wondering, is there any chance that this might spread into the Edmonton area as a whole, or will it just be restricted to the city?
That's a good question. So things like the solar potential map and the EnterGuide home energy map. Those are resources that we've tried to open up to the region of Edmonton. And so you'll see there is solar potential of homes outside of our boundaries. Same thing for the EnterGuide labels in our surrounding communities. But unfortunately, because the program is funded through the municipal tax base, there really is, it does have to stay within that municipal boundary for eligibility. However, I do hear some interest from surrounding municipalities in potentially having a similar program. So would encourage those folks to talk to their local governments about whether they might be able to offer it there.
Great. There was a question about kind of the process. So I've been through a bit of it myself. So maybe I'll just tell people about my journey. So I've had the city of Edmonton paid for my EnterGuide evaluation for my home. So it was a $400 rebate, which was wonderful. So I know they told me which areas of my house were least efficient, and they said the basement slab and the windows. So I take it, so from after getting the EnterGuide rating for my house, then I want to follow the steps that they've done. And then do I want to take solar installation as kind of my last piece in mind, or do I want to take it into consideration kind of as the building as a whole? Like maybe putting solar on my roof before insulating my attic makes sense.
I'll see if I can handle this a little bit, Daniel. So the rebate has changed as far as the EnterGuide evaluations. I did want to just say that the rebate will be $350 from the city if the federal government doesn't do something different in the meantime. But as far as that goes, I think it is an interesting opportunity to incorporate energy efficient work with on-site generation in the context of HERA, and the path to zero is the way we'd look at that would be to reduce your energy load, make the house more efficient, and then make up with solar. So smaller array and more likely to be successful there. I don't offhand know specifically that there's any explicit benefit. If someone's solar motivated and wanted to do a solar array first, then there's nothing precluding them from doing that. And I don't know necessarily that having a rooftop solar array on the pitch of the attic would complicate attic installation. But to the extent that the attic installation would be disturbed through the installation of the array, then there may be a benefit from that kind of tidiness and not compromising the attic installation project. So it's definitely an interesting consideration to understand the scope of what those two different kind of measures would entail. Yeah, it's an interesting question, and really thinking about that journey and making that plan, I think, is definitely very valuable in the context of both solar opportunities and the energy efficiency opportunities.
And I think what I would just add is that, a big consideration for me, if I was trying to decide sequencing of upgrades versus like solar panel installation, would be talking to like a solar contractor and really getting some advice on the microgeneration regulation and seeing what system size would be allowed in my home and how that aligns with my goals for solar. Because as Patrick said, some people might want, the smaller system, the better. Because it's, maybe more affordable or whatever that may be. So it makes sense then. But depending on how your consumption might change when you go through the renovation process, you may want to see if an earlier system might allow you, with the way they calculate microgeneration, to have a larger system. And maybe that's more compatible. And maybe you want to wait until you get an electric vehicle, because then your electricity consumption will be much higher and you then would be able to have a larger system. So it really depends on what your goals are, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a really great point, Lisa.
Begin with the end
Patrick.
in mind.
Yeah, you got to know what you're going for, and if it's net zero, then you can get a little bit more bang for your buck, and if it's solar, then maybe install a hot tub or get a EV before. Well, it looks like we're just about done. So I just want to thank everyone for attending the session and encourage you all to check out the rest of the solar show while you're in the platform. You can check out announcements on the lobby page. You can check out the networking opportunities by clicking on the networking button, and we'll have exhibitor booths. So you can click and leave messages for Lisa or Patrick at the City of Edmonton booth. And those booths will be staffed on Saturday. So Patrick and Lisa, very much for presenting on HERA today, and hope you both have a wonderful day. If you are a person attending and you're also attending the next session, please be sure to log out and then log into the next session. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.